GOP representatives voted to recommend Hunter Biden be held in contempt of Congress after a surprise appearance at his own hearing yesterday continues to drum up controversy. Here's a quick look at Hunter's press gaggle in the halls of Congress following that appearance.
Mr. Biden.
Let me start again. Hunter Biden was and is a private citizen. Despite this, Republicans have sought to use him as a surrogate to attack his father. And despite their improper partisan motives, on 6 different occasions since February of 2023, we have offered to work with the House committees to see what and how relevant information to any legitimate inquiry could be provided.
Republicans have attempted to salvage some political points from the incident. The House Oversight Committee passed a resolution yesterday recommending the full House fine Hunter in contempt of Congress for defying a congressional subpoena.
But many online were less focused on the legal implications of a potential contempt of Congress charge and more with a reporter who's trying to get answer to the most important question of all. I doubt that. Let's watch.
Would you please, I'll answer your question if you be quiet and let me make a statement, okay?
What kind of crack do you normally smoke, Mr. Biden?
Yeah, I saw that making the rounds on social media. Hunter Biden.
So one important note here is that apparently Hunter filed a motion to testify publicly, which is in obvious contradiction with this idea that he needs to be sanctioned for or censored or held in contempt for failing to appear at the private hearing. So people were remarking on the fact that the Republicans underestimated him, forgot that he was a lawyer, forgot that he would have had a longer term plan here. And it does seem in some ways, I had some critique of his choice to show up at the hearing yesterday simply because he couldn't control the optics of the back and forth as he's confronting a bunch of people with a microphone without having a pulpit of his own. But generally speaking, I think he's been playing this rather well, insisting on the public, having a public hearing really does undermine and cut through Republicans' insistence that he's the one with something to hide. Sure, and they should definitely have the hearing in public. I mean, why not? The reason to have the hearing in private would be to protect the privacy of someone, or if it's sensitive, or if it's obviously involving Hunter Biden. There's some prurient aspects of it that you wanted to keep out of the public. It's all well known. Like his images of him have been held up by Marjorie Taylor Greene, nude images of him held up by members of Congress in the chamber. So we all know everything. So there's no privacy to protect, and he doesn't want that. So I don't know why we wouldn't just have it in public. Probably the concern from maybe the concern from Republicans is that it will be too theatrical if the cameras are there. But I think a lot of the Republicans want the theatrics of it. Or that they know that there's not a there. I think that's the concern. Well, I mean, I think they know. I mean, they're not going to. If there is a there, they're not going to discover it in conversation with Hunter Biden because he's just going to plead the fifth on every relevant question. Yeah, why Republicans keep framing this as, well, he doesn't want to be on the record. He's trying to avoid having to testify, and that he's going to look bad in this hearing, in the private hearing that they want. I think what's equally likely, if not more likely, is that the nature of the questions that Republicans ask are questions that have been asked and answered already, that it will be clear that it's a fishing expedition, that it's more about posturing and pomp and grandeur than actually getting to the bottom of any actions that any misconduct on the part of Hunter Biden, or more specifically his father, and that they will be exposed as trying to promote this paper tiger of a persecution, which is a very politicized political attack at a time when they're trying to make the case that Democrats are doing the same thing to Donald Trump. And maybe it all evens out in the wash, and that's all you can ask for. But I do think there is some risk that it undermines their case that the Democrats are uniquely anti-democracy. A lot of voters are going to look at this rigmarole, look at a historically inept Congress who has passed a historically low number of laws in the last session, and say, this is what they're up to. This is what both sides of our political system have been doing, going round and around trying to throw each other's family members and principals in jail instead of actually doing the work that we sent them to Congress to do for the American people. Sure. I mean, it's, I think, frustrating to a lot of Americans that we don't know exactly, but right now it looks like the most likely outcome in 2024 is we're going to be presented with another showdown between two historically, deeply unpopular individuals, Trump and Joe Biden. A rematch, two people who have already had this out, and we're doing it again. Despite significant flaws against them both, Trump obviously
facing a lot of legal jeopardy given his actions. People have a range of views on on the extent to which his wrongdoing is actually criminal, or even if it should keep him off the ballot, as some are trying to contend. On the Biden side, there's a lot of disfavor with his policies, even among Democrats, or people thinking he's too old to run. And also, while they haven't been borne out to the degree the Trump corruption accusations have been, I do think there are questions about, there's little question that there was an attempt to lobby through Hunter Biden to pay Hunter Biden for access to the father. That's what the Ukrainians thought they were paying for. That's what the Chinese thought they were paying for. And given and Joe Biden's statements about the matter have been contradicted a number of times. That is not the same thing as saying that he is culpable. I support efforts to investigate and probe that matter further. We haven't gotten to the place where we can make some broad sweeping conclusion about it. But that seems perfectly fine to me, and it should be something voters take into account. I don't know that the Biden corruption is the number one thing on the top of the mind, like you said, of voters who need to be brought into the Republican fold in order for Donald Trump or whoever it is to be elected. But it is something that Trump's base cares a lot about adjudicating, so here we are.
Yeah, what do they always say? That they can't write new TV, that every movie is a remake? Very much happening in our political system. There's also some news of Steny Hoyer, who I believe is in his 80s, saying that he's going to run for re-election. You've got an old guard that just won't step down, and I think that's part of why you're having this very stagnant political system. There's just not very many people to pull from coming up through the ranks, and that is especially true on the Democratic side of the aisle, where you'd be hard-pressed to find a politician of national relevance who is under the age of 65.
Absolutely. We're going to have Trump or Biden and 10 more Spider-Man movies.
That's why Nikki Haley wants to raise the retirement age. She wants to make all of Americans work as long as
maybe we need to lower
feckless politicians.
I'm in favor of raising the retirement age, but for Congress we need to lower it dramatically. The force, get out, go. You gotta go. Enjoy some time with your great grandchildren, please. More Rising right after this.